What's up, meta nerds? This video will pull from every resource available to completely understand this really rare ship. Conceived in the early years of the Galactic Empire, the VT-49 Decimator was Kuat Driveyard's answer to the Empire's need for a fast, well-armed, mid-sized starship. It's classified as an assault ship. It was essentially a compact warship built to patrol vast territories and support special operations. Imperial strategists wanted a vessel that could go where Star Destroyers could not, acting as a long-range reconnaissance craft, as well as perimeter ship and blockade runner all in one. And so we see Decimators used in everything from long-range reconnaissance units or picket ships on the edges of Imperial fleets. And for spec op groups for smashing through enemy blockades, it's the Empire, they're not worried about bringing extra supplies, they're trying to either assassinate or evac someone. So the VT-49 was developed to decimate opposition in roles traditional shuttles or fighters couldn't fulfill, bridging a gap between starfighters and capital ships. It was a heavily armed Imperial transport and would undergo many field modifications over time, and though while not as famous as an ISD or TIE fighter, it did earn a reputation as one of the galaxy's most feared Imperial warships. Commanding a VT-49 quickly became a point of pride for mid-level Imperial officers, often seen as a stepping stone toward eventually captaining a full-size capital ship. At 38 meters long, or about 125 feet, it's around twice the length of most other freighters and starfighters, being able to reach 975 kilometers per hour, or about 605 miles per hour, making it only slightly slower than the Millennium Falcon and Slave 1, at least in going in a straight line. And at a cost of 160,000 credits, it's 1.6 times the cost of a YT-1300, and less than 3 times the cost of a TIE fighter, but that's really impressive since that's it being sold as a war machine. Who knows how many credits went into turning the YT-1300 into the proper Millennium Falcon we think of. Same thing goes for Slave 1. Twin sublight engines and an advanced navicomputer gave it long-range autonomy. With a backup Class 12, let it execute rapid hyperspace jumps on par with most other military vessels. Being far faster than an ISD, Class 1 is usually only something we see in starfighters of this era, and would be on par with the standard fire spray in YT-1300, but the modified Millennium Falcon and Slave 1 are a lot faster, obviously being the quickest ships in the galaxy. In sheer firepower, it also lives up to its name, with 2 quad laser cannon turrets, and each of those turrets housing 4 laser cannons, which provided 360-degree coverage. These turret guns allowed the ship to engage smaller craft from any angle, much like a gunship. And augmenting these laser cannons are twin concussion missile launchers with a magazine of 40 missiles, which is an unusually large ordnance payload for a ship of this size. It's something we only really see in Mon Calamari craft, or other dedicated missile boats. This arsenal enabled it to deliver punishing volleys capable of shredding enemy starfighters or hammering larger targets during raids, and it can survive prolonged engagements with deflector shields in a heavily armored hull, meaning in damage output and how much damage it could absorb, it was far closer than a true capital ship than what you might think of for something of its size, being in other ways more comparable to a light transport. This was a proper warship, and it only required a minimum crew of 2 to operate. It would usually be crewed with 4, usually 2 pilots and 2 dedicated gunners, but the bridge is designed for efficient control of the ship's weapon systems and engines, allowing for such a small crew to manage its considerable capabilities. While it could also carry 6 passengers who could be stormtroopers or even more often Imperial commandos, while hauling about 80 tons of cargo, which was often mission-specific gear, this capacity made it ideal for carrying raiding parties or special forces unit along with all their gear, which might include specialized weaponry and explosives. And so in essence, the Decimator can serve as a troop transport and mobile command unit, delivering a squad of troops covertly and safely. And they usually packed enough consumables for about a month-long mission. And during the Galactic Civil War, it served across Imperial-controlled sectors, commonly patrolling the fringes of Imperial space and escorting larger warships, where their mere presence was often enough to deter pirate raids or rebel reconnaissance. In fleet engagements, they could be screening the perimeter or racing forward to unleash their 40-missile payload, as their combination of speed and firepower made them ideal for chasing down fleeing ships or breaking through enemy lines to insert a commando team that might change the whole dynamic of this battle. And the prestige associated with commanding a Decimator meant that many up-and-coming Imperial officers were more brazen than some of the more comfy superiors, and they would push this thing to the limit, being eager to prove themselves and move up. One that gained particular notoriety was the Dauntless, which was said to be part of the Imperial Navy's elite forces, along with others that eventually fell into the hands of private factions. As the bang for your buck here, and how it required such a small crew, meant that there was a market for them. Even your biggest crime syndicate might not want to run an Imperial Star Destroyer, but it was practical to maintain a VT-49. We know for sure that some Rhodian bounty hunters used them, One of the most famous incidents came right before the Battle of Yavin. In that same year of 0 BBY, the mercenary Rihanna Saren infiltrated the Death Star and stole a VT-49 Decimator right out of the Imperial hangar bay. She then used this to escape to Danuta, carrying vital stolen data, and she really showed that if you knew how to take advantage of the long-range speed and combat prowess, this thing was almost unstoppable if applied correctly. And then there were more vague descriptions of how it was used during the Outer Rim skirmishes, where again what could just be 2 people in this ship are able to fight off multiple starfighters attacking it at once. And so you can see how in the eyes of smugglers, this is like the kind of super-powered evil twin of the Millennium Falcon, but actually built and intended to be a war machine. From its development as a solution to Imperial tactical needs, through its stats that balance speed, firepower, and carrying capacity, and its use by various criminals. That's it for its breakdown, and as for behind-the-scenes facts, it does come back into canon with Star Wars Commander and Starfighter missions, though it made its first appearance in Star Wars Galaxy's Jump to Lightspeed. Please hit that like button, I really do need your help. But most important of all, remember, it's not the sticker price that kills you, but the cost of buying all those missiles. And the Force will be with you. Always.